Hello, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Pints. I'm your host, Rob, and with me today is April Johnson. And you're going to talk to me about the show you're helping produce and direct, Kokum Dot,
Mhm.
which has some really cool elements like puppets.
Who doesn't love puppets?
Everybody loves puppets. Oh, wait, we got a
Oh,
cheers.
we gotta cheers. We're gonna get into it. Okay.
Yep. So,
Not
yeah,
bad.
we're not drinking water today. We're not that lame, but you did request caffeine
Yes.
and sugar free
Yes.
as we are in the middle of the day, and you don't get day drunk like I do. So I've introduced you to Zevia, my favorite
Mhm.
sugar free pop. If
Mhm.
you're watching, please sponsor me. And you're drinking the cherry cola.
I am. It's dry January, so I thought, and it is middle of the day, but I do love my caffeine. So, yeah, why not? Let's do it together. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's be wild and get hopped up on caffeine.
Yeah, the 10 cups of coffee I had earlier today probably gonna make it hard.
I'm terrible for caffeine though. I can drink like a French press of coffee and then go to bed.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't I need my
I
coffee in the
think
morning, but then throughout the day, it just doesn't affect me.
I
Maybe
think
it's an ADHD
yeah, I was
thing.
gonna say that's actually a symptom of
I
ADHD.
know, and I just like, I think I also got a late in life surprise, ADHD. So, yeah, so let's cheers to that
Yes.
actually. ADD, ADHD.
It's okay. I can do 10 things poorly all at the same time.
I feel like a lot of people in the film industry have ADHD,
Y-
so we're all like
Neuroatypicals.
we're very neurospicy.
And I'm actually on camera gonna adjust your mic because I'm not a sound guy and sound is terrifying for me. Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Oh,
Oh,
it's just gonna do its thing. Ah, whatever. It
should I just talk like this?
yeah, we can do our radio announcer voices.
ASMR version. Between 2 pints.
Okay, Rob's gonna cry in editing because I'm not really
Okay.
very good with
Okay.
the compressor yet. So
Okay. Okay, let's just talk
yeah.
normal and yeah.
So Cookum and Dot,
Not.
you've
Mhm,
you rushed in here and I'm a
mhm,
little just a little bit unclear. Now you were
mhm.
producing. Did you get to direct?
Well, so far, like, we're not going to camera till later this year.
Okay.
But yes, I will be directing the live action portion of it. And
Oh.
then I directed the proof of concept that we shot last year in 2024.
Tell me about the proof of concept.
Okay. So I feel like I need to rewind a little bit. So I received a little bit of funding to
Now you said cultural stories, but I
yes,
don't and we talked before we started, so I know things, but
yeah.
what do you mean cultural stories?
So Cookum is a Cree word for grandmother. So the series itself, we do have an education mandate. We would really want to teach Cree language and culture. So in every episode, we're going to learn one Cree guiding principle. So yeah, you'll have to watch to to know more about the Cree guiding principles, but essentially, yeah, there's a Cree culture and language mandate with every episode. That was really important to us because I was inspired to create this series from my Cree language teacher. Her name's Dorothy. We call her Cookum Dorothy because she's 86 and she's just like everybody's Cookum, everybody's grandmother.
Grandmother? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning
Yeah,
words.
there you go. Yeah, so it's just a sweet kids show. I just feel like in Canada, I feel like kids series are kind of like, I don't know, I feel like we might be doing kids a disservice. I don't know what's out there that's new and exciting for kids, and I don't know if you heard, but HBO doesn't want to renew Sesame Street, or Sesame Street might be going away.
Oh my god.
I know, it's like the end
That's
of an era.
that's wow,
I
that's awful.
know. I
So you
know.
need to step in.
Well, yeah, we do. I feel like there's a lot of, like y you're a millennial, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm a millennial too. So I remember growing up and I don't know, maybe I was a very lonely kid, but I remember watching like Mister Rogers' Neighborhood and Sesame Street. One thing and what was the other one?
Mr. Dress Up, I
Mr.
think?
Dress Up. Okay.
Yes.
I loved those shows. I loved when they addressed the audience because I felt like, I don't know,
As a kid, you actually felt
I
like they were
felt
talking to you.
seen. Yes. And I loved it. And I felt that they were so educational and I just felt like they were just like gentle adults and just, I don't know, it was great. Like I have like warm fuzzies just thinking about watching those shows as a kid. So I wanted to kind of bring those elements into Cookum and Dot. So our actor, she's so lovely, and we do break the fourth wall a little bit. So there's like those little things I think that a millennial parent will be like, "Oh my gosh, this is reminds me of." this, and then they might turn it on, we have to appeal to gatekeepers with a kids show because a kid might not be able to turn on the TV for themselves and, like,
Oh.
right? So we have to kinda think about how is this kids show not only gonna appeal to young learners, young kids, but also the whole family. Because I know that I don't wanna talk bad about any series or any show, but there are some kids shows and I'm like, "I don't wanna turn that on for my niece because that character is annoying," or something like that, or like,
Well, there I and I mean, I remember because you said, like, making a show that's applicable, like, parents can enjoy too.
Mhm,
I don't know much, but, like, a lot
mhm,
of it seems like a lot more kid shows these days are, like, almost like gibberish or something where,
mhm.
like, you as an adult can't really get anything from it,
Yeah,
and I do feel like a lot of the older stuff at least, like, had some substance to it with,
yeah,
like, proper storytelling.
absolutely. I worry my one big fear going into this, and I mean, I have a lot of fears, I still
Just
feel like
afraid all the
I'm
time.
afraid all the time, and I have terrible imposter syndrome, but I do worry that, this gentle kind of Cookum and the storyline is gonna have, like, a bit of a slower pace, and I just wonder if today's kids are gonna be like, "Ah, we need more stimulation." I hope not. I hope that they'll like the pacing and the imagery and all that good stuff.
Well, you have puppets, and
One
everybody loves.
puppet, one puppet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've that must be a big draw, and animation, like, that really seems like that would be something that will catch people's eyes.
hope so.
How many episodes are you doing?
8. Yeah,
How long are the episodes?
11 minutes.
11 minutes.
So, I think they'd be good for it's a web series, so I think that's a good length of time for a web series. I hope that it's,
Like, bite-sized
bite
chunks.
size, but still long enough to get in, like, a good story with, like, a good message, and, yeah, I hope we won't have people, like, drop off at the 5-minute or 6-minute mark. I hope that they'll stick with us for the full 11, but 11 isn't too long, I don't think.
I mean, mixed with live action and puppets and animation is a lot
A
to,
lot.
like, keep people interested.
Yeah.
I would be intrigued, and also with the First Nations elements,
Mhm.
that's as part of a Canadian thing, that's very relevant to us.
Yeah, 100%, and I feel like a lot of conversations now are also about, like, sustainability. You're hearing that in like, as a producer, like, that's something you have to think about, and even our industry too, like, for so many years, there's been no way to kinda gauge, like, how environmentally unfriendly we're being, with our production, so because we have, a lot of Indigenous storylines, a lot of what we're talking about is, like, Indigenous, approaches to sustainability, like talking about the land and how we care for the land, all that good stuff. It's a very contained it's a very contained set, like, we're just shooting in one location.
Is it
Um
like the house or the
yeah, so it's going to be well, it's a studio, but it is like, it looks like a house.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like we're trying to be sustainable, we're talking about sustainability, we're trying to do all the right things, we're really hoping that it's gonna be a success, but, yeah, I'm really excited and also terrified. Yeah.
Well, I may have had an ulterior motive for bringing you on here because you told
Mhm,
me you filmed a pilot and then
mhm,
you've gotten approval and making a whole
mhm.
series, and I'm gearing up to film my own pilot.
Congratulations. And we gotta cheers to that
Yes.
because that's
Oh,
no easy feat. This
running a switch under the table,
oh
so.
my gosh, multitasking.
Mhm. But I that's actually I'm interested
Mhm,
in the nuts and bolts
mhm,
of things.
mhm,
Is so you took this Cree class and you met
mhm,
this awesome woman who was very
mhm,
inspiring, which
mhm.
is beautiful and, like, amazing and, like, wow, you're such a good person. I never would have imagined it. But, so, what how did you do, like, then? Because, like, are you I mean, I've tried to do it, and it's exhausting trying to make things by yourself, and, like, how did you build a team? How did you go about building the pilot?
Well, it's been a labor of love and it's taken a long time. So, we're in 2025 now. I think the idea came in 2022. So, way, way back in 2022, I had a corporate job. I was working in development. So, I have like I had been doing that for a few years, so I had an understanding of kind of how to access funds or go about developing a project, which was great. I felt like it was free film school for me, free producing school.
The most important part.
Yeah. Um, so it was also the pandemic, at the time, 2022, so I was taking online Cree classes and was inspired by Cookum Dorothy, and I thought there has to be a way that we can, preserve language and culture, honor Cookum Dorothy and do this in a really fun way. And like maybe this could be like a film or television project. So I started looking for funds, and the first place that I applied to was the Indigenous Screen Office, and I got a small grant to develop well, I guess development materials, pitch materials, right?
So, sorry, for people who aren't watching and also,
Yeah.
like, I'm not like, I always just jump straight into the filmmaking stuff.
Yeah.
When you say you got funds for development,
Mhm.
does that mean basically they just give you money to take some time off work and do this stuff or hire artists or, like, can you explain that?
Yeah, I can get more into that. Well, for me, it was a small grant, so I wasn't it was never intended for me to kind of pay myself for the work that I was doing. It was really to pay contractors and, have hire people to help me, get those materials together. But I quickly learned the true cost of animation, which was
Yes.
it's a lot. So I was like, "Okay, well, I can't get like a little like sizzle or proof of concept or trailer. Like I can't shoot and have animated elements with what I had applied for in terms of grants. So I went back to the funder, asked for an extension, which they granted to me. So I was like, okay. So I applied for another grant, which kind of topped up the little pot of money that I was able to raise, but that took an extra year.
Mm.
So that brings us from 2022, got the grant 2023, got another grant in 2024, got 3 scripts written by a WGC writer, Jules Kustashian, who's amazing. And so we got the 3 scripts written, we got a 1-minute, proof of concept and was able to kind of, like, round out a really cool crew of Indigenous, crew that were from the what do they call that program now? In Indigenous digital filmmaking?
What
Yeah,
school?
Capilano University.
Oh, I think I know somebody who used to
Yes.
teach that, yes.
Yes. I think you do. I also did the program, I should know the name, but it's changed because 'cause I'm super old, so,
Actually, that's funny.
anywho,
My
yeah.
buddy was getting me to help his students when he was
Mhm.
at it, and it was like only the fourth timer. I'm like, "Wow, all your students are First Nations." It's
Yeah.
like, "Dude, it's a First Nations program."
Yeah. It's amazing. I moved to Vancouver in 2013 to do that program because at the time it was the only, accredited university, Capilano University, that had, like a film diploma program that was from yeah, like an accredited university, like an established university, with a First Nations and Indigenous mandate. So I'm really glad I did it because, the contacts, the cultural significance, like, everything about that program is really supportive, so, yeah, it's funny I forgot the name, but it's been over a decade and they have changed the name, so
Just blame long COVID.
long COVID, I think we all have it, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so 2022 came up with the idea. 2023 applied for my first grant. 2024 applied for my second grant, and then got all the development materials created, and then also tried to did pitch the project. And 2025 we're going into production, and yeah, hopefully by 2026 we'll have everything delivered. So it's been a long process from 2022 to 2026. That's 4 years. It takes time.
Yeah, I was warned by my friend who's helping me produce my project. I was like, "What about grants?" He's like, "Do you have a couple years?" I'm like, "No, I wanna do this now."
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to hang on to the momentum sometimes, and life changes, and, like, things happen, and, like, I've had multiple jobs since then, and, like, I've taken, business film courses and, like, had to leave the city for a while, for a contract, and yeah, life happens and, family stuff, so, yeah, it's taken this long, but I hung in there, I don't know how. I think it was at the time, like, it was just an idea that kind of came from my own head, but then once you start getting people involved and you start working with people that you really respect and trust and care for, um, it just becomes bigger than you, and then it just pushes you farther than you would have probably pushed yourself if it was just about you.
Yeah, I find responsibility seems to it's like, yeah, it elevates you
Mhm.
when you're handed it, and you're
Mhm.
not trying to, like, seek it out for other purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. But somehow, we've made it this far and, you've got a series pilot that you're gonna be shooting this year, like, that's really cool.
Yeah, mine doesn't
Like
have puppets yet. I'm working on it.
maybe season 2, maybe episode 2, who knows?
I have, like, $1,200 worth of puppets, so
Why don't you use them?
I
Where
did,
are they?
they're in a box. I'll show you after the yeah.
Oh my
We could just
gosh.
cut and then replace us with puppets. Do you
It's better than AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, puppets are great. That's incredible. So you're going to camera later this year, and you're
Yeah,
gonna shoot 8 episodes,
yeah,
11 minutes?
yeah.
can I get some details on that? Like,
Mhm.
are you building a studio? Where are you building the studio?
So there's the studio's already built. It's a beautiful studio. So we're really lucky that we live in Vancouver.
Mhm. Okay.
But also Capilano University has the BOSA Center for Film and Animation, and they have 3 like very like state of the art studios within that center. So one of them has like a full like apartment. It's not even an apartment anymore. It's like a 2-story house studio
I
that's
think
within a studio. It's great.
I remember when I was helping on stuff, there was I was like, "Man, I wanna study here just to,
Yeah.
like, lie and then do my own
Yeah.
projects." It's like, "Oh, you were supposed to do a documentary, but it looks like another episode of this series you're shooting." Yep.
What year was that you were
Oh,
in
man,
there?
it was like it was probably, like, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, so they renovated it this year. So now that studio, like that apartment studio has like 2 stories.
Wow,
Like there's an upstairs,
that's
downstairs. They
incredible.
put a roof on it, which is interesting, but there's also a part that is like open. Yeah, it's big.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm not even using the studio for like to its like, not even like a quarter of it what its capacity could be because we're just using like this one little area and like shooting in the kitchen. Like it's very cozy. We want the studio set to look very cozy and cute. So it's not even like a quarter of what you're gonna see on camera is like the size of it. It's huge. Yeah.
That's so exciting. But puppets, like,
Mhm.
how did that happen? And, like, are like, I've screwed around with puppets. I have a
Mhm.
short that I've just, like, finishing now, and there's a
Mhm.
puppet in it. It was way harder to work with than but it's amazing.
Um, yeah, puppets they're a challenge. Okay, so I had the puppet custom made. She is absolutely adorable. I love Dot. And then I was like, I she arrived to me. She came, she brought her to life. She's my baby.
Do you own her? Like, when it's all over, do you get to keep Dot?
I do get to keep Dot. I don't know. I might give her to my puppeteer because my puppeteer is she brought Dot to life, really. Like I guess like in my mind created her, but my puppeteer brought her to life. And my puppeteer is everything. Without Kelly Haynes, our puppeteer, there would be no Kokum Dot. She's so passionate and she's so lovely, and there's nobody quite like her. I adore her. Like she's everything, truly. And she believed in the project so much that like on days where I was like, I don't know. And then I would get a call from Kelly and she'd be like, I believe in this so much. Like Dot loves you. And I was like, we gotta do it for Dot. But yeah, I had Dot custom made and,
Can I ask the dirty questions? It was like,
yeah.
how much about was it?
How much was the puppet
Yeah.
creation? It was under $650.
Oh, damn, I paid like 3 or 400 for pre-designed ones,
Oh,
and I
really?
would totally rather have custom ones.
Yeah, yeah, no, this one, like, the artist had, I found her on Etsy, she had made other puppets similar, and I they kind of looked like they might be like like a South American looking puppet, like, I'm not sure who had ordered them, but some of them that I'd seen looked maybe like, they were puppets of color. So I contacted her, and then I said, like, "This is what I wanted, this is Dot, and, this is that's the project and all that," and she was like, "Okay, I think I have an idea," and then, as she was creating Dot, I was like, "Well, I feel like maybe, like, the hair could be a little longer," or like this or that, and then so we had a bit of communication, but she's like a skilled puppet maker. I don't know what you
I don't
call
even know what the
them.
term
I
is.
don't know either. I should know, but I don't know. Yeah, and I honestly, like, I didn't really shop around for in terms of cost. I was just, like, looking at, like, quality because I was like, "She's gonna be on camera, she's gonna be a star," right?
650 doesn't sound too bad.
No.
Like, because like, again, I paid because I'm a giant nerd, so I go to Gen Con, which is like a board game convention every year, and there is, Puppet Forge, who they
Okay.
make puppets, and so every year they have these weird ones. They don't have, like, batches of them, so
Mhm,
it's probably, like, extras and stuff, but,
mhm.
like, they're about 2 or 300 US,
Yeah.
which is I always thought was a pretty good deal because 'cause they're, like, pretty close to Jim Henson quality, like, the only thing they don't have is, like, moving eyes.
Yeah, Dot doesn't have moving eyes either.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but
that's a lot of that would be staggering and also really hard for the puppeteer, I'd understand.
yeah, it's hard because, like, I mean, I guess I don't even know how the moving eyes puppets would work and how that like, the logistics of that with a puppeteer, I don't know, but I know just from shooting the proof of concept, like, our puppeteer needs to be comfortable. She's under the table, so she needs her own monitor to, like, match eye lines with the actual actor. She needs space, they're wrought iron, so you gotta, like, have space to move the arms, but you don't wanna be moving up too much because if your hand shows, that's a huge no-no in the puppet community. Like,
Oh,
oh my
really?
yes, you don't wanna get canceled by, anywho, I'm just learning a whole lot about puppet culture from this.
Puppet mafia.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, Kelly's great, Dot's amazing. Yeah, I don't I was inspired by Kokum Dorothy who uses, puppetry in teaching, Cree language to kids, so that's how it started. It wasn't like I was like,
Oh, okay.
I've just always wanted to work with puppets." No, it was really I really wanted to honor Kokum Dorothy, the real Kokum Dorothy, and the work that she does with kids. So, yeah,
I'm assuming you've talked to her about all this. What
yeah,
does she think?
she thinks it's really cute and cool.
And she's like 80?
86.
Oh, wow. She
Yeah.
must think you weird young kids.
She's like, "Oh, okay, April." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, I think I feel bad because, if you don't come from a film background and she has done some, film work, being a Cree speaker, she's worked on documentaries and stuff. So she has a little bit of an understanding, but if you don't, like, she probably keeps thinking like, are you making this thing?" Right? Because I
Yes.
contacted her in 2022, we're in 2025, and we still haven't gone to camera yet, but it is happening.
I've worked in
Yeah,
film enough to know
yeah,
that these like it's and when you've already gone this far.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, she's like, "Yeah, no, okay, cool." Like, she just thinks it's great, and I think she's flattered, and I think she knows that everybody who's involved in the project, our heart's in the right place, so, yeah, it's good.
So shooting nitty-gritty details.
Mhm.
How many days of shooting do you think it's gonna be for 8 episodes that are 11 minutes?
This is as soon as you asked me that, I got this, like it felt like I got punched in the stomach because it's, like,
Oh,
fear
I'm sorry.
and butterflies. But we have a budget and it's kinda tight, so we wanna shoot back to back all the episodes within a week. Yeah,
Wow, in 7 days? 5 days?
5,
5 days,
5
10
days.
minutes? That's
But it's it's a hybrid, right?
right.
So it's only, 5 to 6 minutes of each episode would be
So
live
you're
action.
shooting about 40 minutes in 5 days. That's totally especially if you have a nice, like, set because like,
Yeah,
going outside is like, "Oh, it's raining, we can't shoot now," and
exactly. Yeah, that's the beauty of working in a studio and having just, like, essentially, like, one kind of contained location. Um, yeah, and we've got a great crew, so they're more than capable and excited and, like, I have a lot of trust in them. It's me. It's like, "Hi." I'm the problem, really.
why?
I think because I come from such a development background, like, I know how to develop projects, and then everything else I'm learning as I go, like, yeah. So I'm gonna really need to lean in and trust my team.
I can tell you,
Mhm.
and maybe people are gonna flame me in the comments, but you have already achieved the hardest part of any filmmaking project that many people never achieve. You got a budget. Like, really, like, you don't know how hard that is.
Yeah, and it keeps getting harder. Oh my gosh. Why are we in this industry? Just kidding. Yeah. Um, yeah, but I I don't know, I don't know. Things went sideways during development, right? Like, things come up and you have an idea of what things are gonna look like in your head, and then it doesn't happen quite the way you thought, and then you feel like, "Oh, maybe it's me," and then, but it comes out stronger in a lot of ways, right?
I've found that, that's actually a true one is like, when I've worked on other projects and we've had like no, but we never have budgets. The sometimes the concessions you make or the things that you have to adapt to end up being like better than what you
Yeah,
planned.
yeah,
But you really have to be careful when you're like really tightly. Like I was on a shoot once and the DP really wanted this shot of someone running down the stairs in a very specific way. And an hour and a half passed, and it was like, okay, we just wasted like a reasonable portion of our shoot day on a shot that is 6 seconds and adds nothing to the story.
yeah,
And it looks beautiful, yes, but it's yeah, you gotta really not grip onto those things.
yeah, you gotta learn to kinda, like, let things go, and definitely learn that just from shooting that trailer, that small little proof of concept was it's actually really helpful, and I think essentially, like, yeah, I'm very green. Anything outside of development, I'm super green. This is my first series with through my company. It's, like, the first substantial thing I've directed other than some short films. So I'm gonna really I feel like I'll need to be more prepared than I've ever been for anything. And I think, yeah, like, having this like, an extensive time for prep, I think will be very helpful. And then just leaning into the story, like, really have a lot of trust in my writer, and from the 3 scripts that we have written so far, like, I know the story's there, so I feel like as long as you've got a great story, like, everything else comes together, you know? That's the way I feel.
I one of the best leadership's qualities out there, and I've learned this from other great leaders, is just get good people and trust them and don't tell them what to do
Yeah,
to a
no.
point. Like, guide them, but
I don't feel like I could be a micromanager. Everybody else on this project is better than me, so, like, I'm just in awe of them, so I'm just gonna let them do what they do.
I remember from my software days listening to a manager tell our database guy that no, we didn't need to secure the database table with the credit card numbers in it. It's not that important. That went exactly like you think it went.
Oh my god.
And the database guy was like, "You, this isn't gonna work," and he's like, "Just do it." And yeah, it went like exactly the way you thought it would go. It wasn't a big deal, but
Oh
it
my
was really
god.
funny. Yeah, no, that got quashed pretty quickly.
Oh my gosh. We don't work with these people
Oh
anymore
God,
anyway.
no,
Okay, good.
that was like 15 years
Oh
ago.
my gosh.
And it was a small company. We're
Right.
talking like maybe a couple hundred credit card numbers. We're
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you live and you learn, I guess. I don't know.
listen to the database guy. Always listen to the database guy.
Oh my gosh. Wild. So yeah, so that's what I've got kind of on the roster for 2025. I don't know what post is gonna look like. Animation is a whole other world, and I don't know anything about animation. So
And
this is gonna be quite the challenge.
let's actually talk about that.
Yeah.
So animation, how the hell are you gonna do that?
Well, I have a producing partner now, and she has a working relationship with a company, animation company on the island, and she also has a great working relationship with animation production manager who's also Métis, and so I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I guess it's all coming together. So we got having a producing partner who's kind of I don't know how many years she's been in the industry, but quite a while. Her name's Patty Poskett. She's amazing. Um, if she trusts them, I trust them. I really do. And I've met with Tanner, who's the animation PM, and he's great. And he's got his own animated series as well, which is
Oh,
going
which
really.
one's that?
It's with Knowledge Network. I'm not sure if it's out yet. It's called Illustrated Legacies.
Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds neat.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you more about it. I actually don't know a lot about it. I've seen a little bit, and it's beautiful. So, yeah, he's, obviously, like, a busy working professional, and he's got a great relationship with Patty, who I have full trust in. So I think that's great, and it's another, one of those detach and surrender and also, like, put trust in the people that you're working with, and I think it's gonna be really good, seeing the work that they've, produced so far, and I'm really happy with that. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be good. Yeah.
What's the so you it sounds like you need about what, another 40 minutes of animation? How long does that take?
Um, so what do you mean, like the posting? Like
Yeah,
for
so
the
well,
post process?
you're gonna need so it sounds like about half of each episode of the 8 episodes is about 5 minutes of animation. So that's about 40 minutes of animated content. How long does that take? I would think that would take forever.
Well, schedule like the solidified schedule TBD, but I think we're shooting in June. We're gonna start post and animation in July, and then we should be working on it throughout the second half of the year. So we're hoping to be kind of like wrapping up by Christmas. We'll see.
So if everything goes smoothly,
Mhm.
knock on wood, if everything goes relatively
I
smoothly,
love that you have a wood table.
yeah,
It's perfect.
this is a prop from an old show I shot.
Oh my
So yeah.
gosh, I love it.
But if everything goes reasonably well, you'll be sending this to festivals next year?
Mm, well, we have a first window with TELUS, so it will be on TELUS for, would imagine, I think it's 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and, from there, we'll have to do a part 2 or a follow-up to this podcast
You
because 'cause I'm
must come
sure
back.
there will be more updates coming very soon. which I'd love to keep you looped in about.
And it won't be dry January. So we
No,
so we
there
can
we
get you
go.
drunk and hear how it really is.
Oh, yeah, okay. I will be back, and it will be yeah. Oh my god. Mm.
It's okay, I can edit all the swearing
Okay.
out.
Yeah, we'll see how that episode would go. No, just I'm not a crazy drunk, I promise. Yeah.
So it'll be on TELUS for 6 years, that's pretty neat, and
Yeah.
then but what about you? What do you so this has been a multi-year project, do you got
Mhm.
any other projects on the boiler?
I always admire people who are creative, like serial creatives, and they have, a million different irons in the fire. I would love to be like that, and I do find that, as I'm working on one thing, like, it will, like, trigger and inspire new ideas, but I really, I can't be focused on too many things if I'm trying to see one thing through. So, yeah, I have ideas, but that I'm very slowly percolating on, but nothing that's, like, big yet. This is, like, my first big thing. I need to prove to myself that I can do this first.
I think you can, and it sounds really
So
exciting, and, if you can't find anyone for BTS stills,
mhm.
I do photography occasionally.
Oh, okay. Well, I might be hitting you up.
Yeah, we could, like, hook you up with the clipboards and do the
Yeah.
point shot, 'cause every director needs a picture of them with, like, a script and pointing, and put, like, a little old-timey hat on you or something.
Perfect. Okay, I love that. Or, like, one just, like, is sitting in the director's chair.
Yeah, and then, like, the
Yeah,
one where you're, like,
yeah.
behind the camera, but it's like you're totally not doing it right, like,
Yeah.
you're looking at the wrong side.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I might call you up. Yeah, I would hope that the series would, know does I hope it doesn't go sideways. I hope it's a success and it will lead to more work and, yeah, continued I don't know.
What if it's, like, a huge success and they want, like, half-hour episodes and it turns into a legit thing? Oh my god, your eyes just went
Dream.
terrified.
Did they? Oh my god. That was unscripted. That was 100% authentic fear. Um, I mean, it would be great to get, another season for sure, and, like, actually have it on, like, a channel, an APTN or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll start with this and, yeah, see what we deliver and go from there, but I think it will be good. Like, I feel like we've got a great team. There's a great story, inspired by an amazing lady. Um,
Does she
yeah.
still teach? Like, could this theoretically jazz people up and next year she's like, "I don't know what happened. There's, like, all these people on my course now."
You know what? Okay, I take her course. I try to go every Monday. I'm not the best student, as you know, like, sometimes with just working and editing and, like, being in front of screens
ADHD.
all and having ADHD, yes, it's so hard to, like, look at a screen all day and then after work, go to my online class, so I'm trying to go every Monday, but anyway, the Cree classes are still happening. They're every Monday. Last Monday I went and, I'm kinda shy because my Cree is not that great, um, but Kokum Dorothy at the end of class was like, "And April has an announcement for the class," and I was like, "Oh, no," and she's like, "Tell everybody, April. Tell them what you're doing." So I had to I told the whole class, and they were pretty, like, they were enthusiastic and like, "That's so cool." So, I don't know, I
It
guess
is really cool.
yeah,
Like, animation, puppets.
animation puppets, yeah, why not? Kids stuff that I feel like parents will like and wanna turn on, yeah. I'm hoping it's all good things. Okay, you know what another show that weirdly is, like, taken off on TikTok, but it's a kids
I
show?
was been thinking about it this whole thing, but I don't know the
Nanoland.
That's it, because
Yeah.
that's the, like, old lady puppet and the little girl puppet,
Mhm.
and there's, like, all those
The
songs and
grandmother,
lyrics, yeah.
right? And then yeah, it's really cute.
It's like,
It's
"Could she be any cuter?" Here, that ki and then that yeah, my ex used to send me those all the time.
the memes, it's like it's so warm and fuzzy and cute and, like, relevant, and millennials love it, but I had never it was like a CBC series back in, like, the early 2000s, right? Never heard of it
No.
until 2024 when I was talking about Kokum Dot with, a friend, and she was like, "This kinda, like, could be kind of like Nanoland." I was like, "What is that?" And then I went on TikTok, and I was like, "I love this." It's so weird, but great.
You need to turn your thing into memes and TikToks. You need to start like, you need to really read those scripts and be like, "These 2 lines, this
Yeah,
this is a 30-second clip right
yeah,
here."
yeah, exactly. This is memeable. This is
Yeah.
all memeable, yeah. It's so funny. I was talking to a friend earlier today too, and she was like, "Yeah, we have to just, like, make this, like, all the memes we can do, like, everything. Like, let's do it. Let's lean in." It's like, "Yeah." And we were what else was she saying? She was like, "Okay, well, it's, Cree language and culture. Get the mandate, like, that's totally awesome. What if Dot was teaching Cookum, like, Gen Alpha slang, like Riz?" And I was
Oh
like,
god.
"Okay."
And you can kinda make fun of the young people, and they like that.
Right? Right, and, apparently, I didn't know this, but, like, yeah, lots of people now are like, Duolingo is doing really well with their social media, like, people are studying second languages on Duolingo just because it's, like, becoming cool and, like, how they're marketing the Duolingo, so I'm
There's,
like,
like,
"Okay."
something about an evil owl chasing you if you miss your daily thing and your streak breaks,
Is
and
that what it is?
yeah, and my friend, a number of my friends were posting their streaks, like, their day streaks, and it's, like, over 1,000 days, and, like, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to do this with this, like, programming." I was learning Python. I got to,
Mhm.
like, 30 days and then lost my streak over the holidays, and I just haven't gone back.
Yeah, I it's not showing up on my algorithm, like, I haven't seen any crazy owl, is that what it is?
It's I think
But
the app you have to be signed into the app,
oh,
and then it
okay.
starts sending you notifications, and it's like an owl that's like, "Hey, you should do you're gonna break your streak."
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? But I should get Duolingo because
Can you do Cree on it?
I think you can. Oh my gosh, I should know this.
You
I
should be
should
talking to
I
Duolingo to see if they want, like, a little
yes. You know what? I'm almost certain that Cree is in Duolingo. There are indigenous languages like on Duolingo for sure. Like I know like Navajo, for example. Oh my gosh. Can I look right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna keep rolling
Okay.
though.
Because I don't have the app. How am like I don't know.
Google it.
Okay, let's Google.
So, maybe I'll try to drop in that, like, SpongeBob a few moments later, but we have discovered that Duolingo offers Cree.
Mhm. Well, I don't have the app downloaded on my phone, but I did Google it. And according to Google, Cree is on Duolingo. So there we go. Yeah. But Kokum Dot's gonna be more fun and interactive than Duolingo. I'm gonna make it more fun.
Duolingo doesn't have puppets.
Does not have puppets. They have an owl, apparently.
I may have totally misquoted that. There's gonna be people that are angry.
But we've got Greek grandmother. We've got the cutest puppet you'll ever see. We've got beautiful animation with woodland style Cree animation. Like we've got colors and all sorts of fun stuff and cool memes. So
I guess the real question is,
mhm.
does your puppeteer drink, and can I get the puppet on
Oh
the
my
show?
gosh. Rob, can we?
I'm the boss. I could do whatever I wanna do.
Do you think your audience wants to meet Dot?
I think
She's
I
pretty
think
cute.
I don't have an audience. My audience is whatever the guest's audience is. That's the secret of the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, maybe we don't want it to be super drunken, unless you want to, like, be applicable to parents, but,
I
we could do 2 episodes. We could
yeah,
do the cola episode, and then we could
we
do
could
the
do a cola
late
episode.
night episode.
Yeah, yeah. We could do root beer because Dot loves root beer.
Everybody loves root beer.
Everyone loves root beer. So we could do like yeah, like a root beer episode with Dot.
I've
She's
done tons
honestly
of
really cute.
I've done tons of root beer episodes already because a
Okay.
lot of my friends don't drink, and, like,
Yeah.
I don't really wanna be, "Oh, you can't come on my podcast if you're not gonna drink with." That's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you're so open to having like a diversity of guests and conversations. But Dot is awesome. So she would love to meet you. She's not shy. She's very curious. She'll probably ask you a million questions. Yeah, she's lovely.
I've heard, and maybe you can tell me when you've done the
Mhm.
series,
Mhm.
that it gets weird and hard to talk to the puppeteer, like, you start talking to the puppet when you're directing them?
Yeah.
I've heard that's a thing.
Um, I've I've never worked with a puppeteer before. I worked with Kelly's my first, and Kelly, has a great relationship with Dot, and so usually when I'm talking to Kelly, Dot's there. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I've heard that, like, when, the puppet's there and you're standing there and they're hidden, like,
Yeah,
you just end up defaulting to the puppet.
yeah. But Kelly's great too as her own person. She's awesome, like, amazing and so creative. And just she has like her heart's in the right place with everything that she does as a performer. Yeah, she's wonderful. I can't say enough great things about her. She's the only puppeteer I know though. I'm sure they're all great, but Kelly is exceptional.
How did you link up with her? Just in case I'm looking for a puppeteer in the future.
Yeah,
Is there, like,
yeah.
a puppet forum or
So how did this happen? Okay, I got, very lucky, like, very, very lucky, to work with my writer, Jules Gustafson. She's amazing, and she was like, "Oh, I feel like a great Kokum for Kokum Dot would be Renai Moriso, who is our she plays Kokum Dorothy, and, she was on North of 60, she's also in a performing arts group, and she's, a musician. She
Is she a
directs
triple threat?
theater, she's like a quadruple threat, she's amazing. Jules brought Renai to the project, and Renai, when I was talking to her about series, I was like, "Yeah, I haven't found a puppeteer. I'm a little bit nervous. Like, Dot's arrived, but, I don't have this puppeteer yet." She's like, "Oh, you should go to Presentation House." And so that's like a theater in Vancouver, like a theater company. And the artistic director there was like, "Oh," and they had given me a list of recommendations for people, and at the top of that recommendation list was Kelly, but I had done my own research too, and I had seen her and her work, like, I had come across her online and was like, "I wonder who this Kelly is," and then Presentation House also had recommended Kelly, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need Kelly," and then I contacted her, and I didn't think she was gonna reply to me 'cause I'm an emerging director. This is my first series as a producer, but she called me within, I emailed her, and she called me within, 10 minutes.
She was ready. She was
She was
waiting for the
ready.
phone call.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, it all came together, so I got very lucky. I'm incredibly lucky to have this, team of women. Yeah.
I've worked with you. I don't
Yeah.
think it's luck. You are a very hard worker.
So are you. I've been on set with you. Yes.
That's just the ADHD.
Yeah.
I guess maybe
Maybe it's our
yeah.
superpower. It is our superpower, I think.
Yeah,
I
no,
really do.
since I've started meditating every day, it's a little bit more in control at least, so I
Yeah.
don't run off chasing squirrels as much.
Do you take, on top of meditation, are you taking medication?
No, I've been trying to get, like, a proper,
Yeah.
recent clinical
Yeah.
diagnosis, because I do very much want the medic like, I'm trying to
Mhm.
move out of being a person on set and to
Yeah.
get, like, a computer IT job
Yeah.
just so I can have maybe a future and a partner and relate not screw relationships up, but,
That's a whole other episode.
yeah, no, that's and probably, one I'm gonna need a few beers.
Yeah.
But, are you taking medication?
Yeah, and your mind would be focused on something and not squirrely mind all of these different things, and then I found, you know so for me, I found that I noticed that my mind was in all of these different places, and I was trying to bring it back, and then when I noticed myself, trailing off or, blah, 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 or getting distracted, I get so hard on myself and get so angry, and then it would just, really help it really hindered my, confidence and just, belief in myself. So this
Have
is
you
r
tried meditation? And I
Oh, yeah, I've done,
yeah,
the Vipassana, where
uh,
you go away and sit in
oh,
silence for
wow.
10 days, I've done all of the
What?
transcendental, I've done it all.
Oh,
Yeah,
man, I'm just doing the,
yeah,
breathe for 15 minutes in the morning and, not think about
mhm,
stuff, and then don't beat yourself up when you think about
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So and
yeah,
it's not like I'm not saying it's life-changing, but
mhm.
it's definitely helped a little bit.
Oh, it helps for sure, absolutely, a meditation practice is so important, whether or not you have ADHD or ADD or anything.
Well, what really got me going on it is I saw some,
Mhm,
a podcast where they can actually, with an MRI, detect if someone's been just 5 minutes a day or it's 3 minutes a day
mhm,
for a month, and they can detect changes in your brain.
mhm,
And I was like, "Well, if science says it's good, then
yeah,
here I am."
absolutely. Yeah, they say, you can look at people who meditate and they have more grooves in their brain, and
Ah.
I think that's, higher order I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But if you don't meditate, I guess your brain is more smooth.
That's actually socializing too. There's
Mhm.
if you look up the monkey sphere on the internet,
Mhm.
if if you have a monkey that hasn't lived with any monkeys and lived alone, and then it passes away, and you look at its brain, it'll be really smooth. But if the monkey has had tons of in a populace of 50 monkeys or whatever, that the ridges start developing, and humans are the same. That's why solitary confinement is considered cruel and unusual, is because it really damages people.
Gosh.
Maybe we'll cut that part. That's pretty dark.
There's so many people who live alone. You know what? Sometimes because I do, a lot of hybrid work or, working from home and, sometimes I won't have a Zoom meeting till, 3 or 4, and I'll get on the video call and I'll be like, "Hello," and my voice will crack or, I'll just sound weird. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the first time I talked. I haven't spoken all day."
It's not super healthy.
Not
That's
healthy.
why I have had roommates. I always try to have roommates, and I've
Mhm,
been really blessed. I've had only one bad roommate and
mhm,
so many good roommates.
mhm.
But I've known about that stuff for more than a decade, and yeah, no, having roommates is actually pretty healthy because we weren't if you read about what life was like for in Western society, I don't want to
Mhm.
quote anything else, but like this whole like isolation thing is super new. Like in the olden days, and like for like white people at least, like you'd have your parents, you'd have your grandparents, you'd have your aunts and uncles, you'd have your neighbors, you'd have your pastor,
Mhm.
you'd know all these people.
Yeah.
And like I think it was Tolkien who was like raised by his pastor after his parents
Mm.
died. Like you have these huge networks of people that
Mhm.
like to fall back on when there's problems with some of them. And nowadays, like people have nobody.
Yeah. I've lived in my building for, like, 9 years. I don't know who my neighbors are. I know the person across from me, though.
I've helped my neighbors move a fridge, so they're super. In fact,
Oh, that's so nice.
2 weeks ago, they're like a family and they're lovely.
Mm.
And if you ever meet them, please ask the father's name because I haven't. I don't know his name, and it's been like
Oh,
8 years.
it's too awkward now to ask.
But yeah, it was like the other night I was playing video games in here with my friends, so it's kind of socializing. It's not quite.
Yeah.
And I only had like 2 beers, and then I'm because of the brain injury, I wasn't going to drink anymore. But I go
Yeah.
outside, and he's like getting drunk with his brother on the deck because their
Yeah.
kids had just had a soccer game, and they just give me like 2 beers. And they're
Do
like,
they want
"Yeah."
to sponsor Between Two Pines?
They kind of did. I mean, I was doing a little editing too, but yeah, it was great. And then because I was just like taking stuff in, they're like, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I do." But
Amazing. See,
yeah,
that's like and not a lot of people have that. A lot of people live in yeah, they live in apartments, they might not know their neighbors or who
I wonder
knows,
what that
right?
does to anxiety, because like, if you don't know that you
Amplifies it.
can count on people around
Yeah.
you or anything, like my landlord stopped by and he was looking for me and they were like, "Hey, some guy was like creeping around your yard." I was like, "Oh no, that's our landlord."
Oh,
So, but like it's nice they're keeping an eye on things.
yeah.
So,
I don't know, maybe that's why the younger generation, like Gen Z, have a lot more anxiety.
well, also there's a lot more awareness.
Yeah.
For this other podcast I produced called Life in the Circus,
Mhm.
a DOP named Sterling Bancroft was actually a really interesting idea I'd never thought of. He said there's maybe too much awareness now because you have everybody like they hear a cause, so they post all about it on Instagram. But like, I'm just some poor schmuck in Western Canada. I don't even think my vote counts. Like I vote, but I don't really like without we were supposed to get what was it, proportional representation. We didn't get that. Like I have no say in what's going on anywhere, and I
Mm.
do not have enough money to make a difference. And I'm like busy worrying about how to make rent. So do I really need to worry about all of these horrible things that I can't do anything about?
Yeah. We also are just, like, bombarded with information,
Yeah,
like, too much information.
yeah.
The
Like
amount of, like, content we consume daily is, like, way, way beyond the scope of what, like, I think most beyond the scope of what's healthy, for
probably what
sure.
we were designed to handle.
Exactly. So that could also be contributing to it, but it's like all of these like apps and like different things are like designed to keep you on them. And so like you can't really blame us too much when we're kind of getting hooked or like consuming too much.
Well, they've
So
actually,
yeah.
like, leveraged addictive stuff, like, it's with the bright and there's actually some apps that make things black and white because
Mm,
even the colors of the icons are meant to draw your eye, and
okay.
yeah, I was on a road trip in September, and one of my
Mhm.
friends who's, like it's funny because he's, like, a DJ, and he's, like, a party guy, and he's
Yeah.
really cool, but he's, like, super, like he recommended, like, really good books on relationships, and he's like, "Don't tell anybody I told you about this book." But,
Aw.
he's got this, like, weird, he got an app on his phone that's,
Mhm.
like, a minimalist app that
Yeah.
hides a lot of this, like, colorful, addictive stuff to it.
That's that's what we need.
Well, and he does seem very at peace when you hang out with him,
Yeah.
so I kinda hate it because he's, like, 15 years younger than me. But
Oh, no, it's good to like learn from the youngins for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. No, but I feel like yeah, I did go through a period, like, as I was developing Kokum Dot, it was hard to kind of just, like, eliminate the noise and just focus on what's important. What do we need to develop this project? What do we need to, like, round out the best possible team? And so I was kind of finding that I was, like, trying to limit my screen time or, like, things that were, like, taking away my, like, emotional and chipping away at my mental energy. So I was listening to a lot more, podcasts, audiobooks.
Oh, I'm a big audiobook
Are you
guy.
an audiobook
I've got, I
person?
think I have 600 audiobooks.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, okay, I don't have that many. I eventually, like I guess what you don't own them, right? You license the books.
Well,
So, like, I had enough in my library where I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna cancel this app and re-listen to all these books because like,
yeah.
certain things are good worth re-listening to, like The Artist's Way, like, was so helpful in developing this project and, some
The
other
War of Art.
I've never heard of
Oh
that
my god,
one.
it's
What's
like
that one?
it's kind of a parody of, The Art of War. So
Okay.
it's all very, like and it's funny because it talks about resistance. Oh my god, you're gonna it's because it's, like, very, like, zen about, like, resistance is the thing that gets in the way of you making your art, and like
Mm,
resistance is why you get sick, resistance is why you cheat, resistance is why you're unhappy, and it's he goes all these things, and he like it's really cool though, and but it's very almost like prose, not really like here's a story about this, like because
mhm.
I have a lot of serious books, but then I also have a lot of like science fiction space trash that I listen to at the gym.
You're very multifaceted.
Yes, yes. The 8 Rules of Love was one I discovered on my road trip.
Okay, I I have the book.
Oh,
I haven't read it because well, I do love Jay Shetty's podcast, and I have to say that when I was, yeah, like, trying to, like, when I first incorporated my company and was trying to, like, pull myself out of this feeling of imposter syndrome, I was listening to a lot of Jay Shetty because he has, like, the best guests on his podcast, and I heard that you can cut this out, but I heard some, like, stuff about his
I
past, so I was like,
I've
"I don't
heard
know if I wanna
it's
read this book now."
yes, okay, well, I've heard that he wasn't really a monk or that it's
Yeah,
like and I don't think like I know we don't like to talk about
yeah,
negative stuff, and
yeah,
it's like I heard that too, but like
yeah,
after listening to his book on relationships,
mhm,
uh, I just it's like that thing where it's like, I wonder how many of my relationships would have crashed and burned if I'd read this book first.
right,
Because I think in the 8 Rules of Love, he's like, "Would you try and fix a car without a manual? Because relationships are more complicated than cars." And I like, yeah, that was like and even talks like how you like how to prioritize things because I've had problems in previous relationships where like I felt like I was 5th on the priority list
mhm,
and I didn't really know how to communicate that or when I
yeah,
did I was like, well, you're met with like, oh, well, this is more important and this is like, oh, and you can't expect me to not put my mom first and it's like, okay, but like in his book he's like,
mhm,
your partner should be second to your purpose. And I actually
yeah,
agree with
I
that, and
believe
it's
that,
yeah, and that's, like, something that, like, maybe I haven't always followed, but it's definitely something where it's, like, in kind of inherently I've understood that, like, yeah,
mhm,
your partner, apart from your purpose, whether it's, like and that's not your job necessarily, which he specifies isn't.
mhm.
But, yeah, I read he wasn't a monk and, like,
His
uh
degree it wasn't what did he say? He studied, like, cognitive science or something, but he studied business or
yeah. He's pretty good, though, I like his stuff, and then, like, Matthew Hussey is interesting because he's, like, a
mhm,
dating coach for women,
yeah.
and I find a lot of what he says is fascinating because 'cause I'm getting to see it from the other side. So,
Interesting.
because he actually, like, explains, just stuff like, how people and, like, men and women, like, you think lo not you, but, like, people think love is, like has to involve these, like, massive shocks to your nervous system because that's what, like, love has been to them in the past, like, ups and downs, whereas, like, to those people, real love is boring, and I'm already at that stage, like, I don't want drama. I wanna like, one of
I don't
my
even want the honeymoon phase. I want, like, the 2 years in where you're comfortable and you know somebody and they feel like home.
yeah, and
That's what I want.
like, you can trust that you won't say something wrong and it won't
Yeah,
blow up on you,
yeah.
and that's yeah, like, and I find too, like, the honeymoon phase is now kinda scary to me because 'cause I've been
Mhm.
in honeymoon phases where it's like, "Oh, wow, there were so many red flags I was ignoring because I was, like, high on the dopamine of, like, the new
Yeah,
person."
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, anyway.
But, yeah, so a lot of people out there associate love with, like, this, like, these huge ups and downs, and then they find someone who's great for them, but it's
Mhm,
boring, and then they trash the relationship, and they go
mhm.
back to these, like, these terrible relationships, so
Yeah, I feel like it's not, like there is sometimes when you think about it, it's a little masochistic, is that the word?
I actually saw
But,
this
like, I don't know, we tend to, like, stay in, relationships or in situations that are comfortable to us or familiar, like,
familiar.
so, right? It's like if you've had, like, toxic relationship in the past, like, as terrible as you might know that it is, it's also what you become familiar with, so you just yeah, like,
I
even though when
saw
you deserve better.
well, I saw another one that's, oh, it was like and it's like this, like, misogynist like, it was a bit
Mhm,
misogynist, but it was one
mhm,
of those it applies to both genders just as much, which was
mhm.
like, why do guys date crazy girls when they know they're like and actually really great not just like, "Oh, she is
She's
assertive and
crazy, yeah.
independent." It's like, no, she's like, she has a diagnosis, kind of, and it's
Okay.
like, it's because it's safe. Because if you're with someone where it's like, "This is the one, I'm going to be with them for the rest of my life." I've already had one of those relationships where,
Yeah.
like, that was actually a huge amount of stress suddenly, like, when my film career tanked, suddenly there was this huge amount of depression because it's like, I'm letting this person down, I love this person, and I'd opened a bank account to save for a ring, and then suddenly I couldn't put any money in it, and like, whoa, if you think you're depressed about your career falling apart, just stack all that stuff on top of it.
Sometimes things need to fall apart before they fall into place. When you say your career tanked, your career did not tank. You are directing a pilot this year. And sometimes relationships, they come to a natural end and that's not a failure. I think recognizing when a relationship has run its course and, I think that's the kindest thing you could do is end it. And, for yourself and for them, it's like it's a form of care. So, no, none of that was a failure. And it's setting you up for like it brought you to this year that I think, it's January, maybe it's wishful thinking, but maybe I'm being too much of an optimist, but I think we both have really, really big years ahead of us. And I think only good things are to come. So,
It's
yeah.
I don't disagree with you,
Mhm.
and I you're right about a lot of those things,
Mhm.
but from a perspective, I'd only really ever been in one other relationship where it seemed like
Mhm.
it was gonna go the distance, and it's like even now, it's just like, "Oh, well, my savings are kinda lean, but whatever, I don't care." But, like, when you're with someone and you're talking about future, like,
Yeah.
how are we gonna get
Of
that down payment
course.
on that
It's very
house?"
important.
And
Yeah.
like, I mean, you must know because you even said it, like, you're a team person, and as soon as you're worried, you have imposter syndrome that you're gonna not be good enough for your team, and it's like, well, that's some scary stuff, especially if you
Yeah.
care about being a good
Yeah.
part of the team and you're not just using it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like at this point, I do feel like, oh, maybe I should be farther along in my career than I am. But okay, all that aside, it's also like, what foundation do I have yet to show that I am good at what I'm doing? You know? So hopefully this will be that. And I'll be like, okay, I did that.
It's gonna be so cool. There's
I
puppets and
hope.
animation. Like, how can you go wrong?
How could you go wrong with animation and puppets and live action and studios and
Blood
yeah.
pressure going up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like, I'm not trying to, like, cure cancer or, like, go to the moon or something. We're making a cute series, right?
I Your series sounds exactly like what I
Mhm,
want more of in film.
mhm,
I I see a lot of films that are like, it's like, yes, it's the awareness thing where it's like, yeah, there's this terrible stuff out there in the world,
mhm.
but like, man, we don't need that right now. Like, we know it's all
Exactly.
there. Like I want
Exactly.
what you're, like even
Yeah,
my series is like, it's goofy and fun and
yeah.
it's supposed to, we're like making fun of misogyny in the '90s and making fun of race, but like we're not, it's not going to hopefully give anybody nightmares. It's just
Yeah,
supposed to make people laugh at things.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, everyone is shown to sort of basically be a decent person,
Mhm.
even the guy who burns down everything.
But I feel like we're also very, like, we're storytellers and we are multifaceted people who have many interests. Like, I don't I'm very proud and very happy that my first series is a kid series, especially one with a Cree culture and language mandate. Um, but yeah, like, I'd be open to doing other genres as well, like comedy, drama. Who knows?
I
Sky's
have
the limit,
I
right?
have a whole camera package and
Yeah.
lighting package, and I'm, like, willing to work for beer, at least for, like, old friends.
We will find something to land on and collaborate with. I'm certain of it. Like, we've worked together in the past, we have mutual friends, we have mutual, like, shared, like, why? Like, our why, I think, is very similar in what brought us to the industry and why we're still here after all the ups and downs and roller coasters of the industry, so I'm sure that we'll work together,
It'll
or at
happen.
least I'll be on this podcast again,
Yes,
hopefully,
and
with
bring
Dot.
yes,
Yeah, with
yes.
Dot.
Oh, that would be excellent.
That'd be a first for Between 2 Pints
Let's be a first for a
and
lot of podcasts.
yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Well, so my goal for this is I read online, first of all, 90% of podcasts don't even get episode 4. We're on episode, like, 13 or 14 now, probably 15 for this.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah, and I'll probably I've got, like, 5 in the can right now, but then the next step is, like, 99% of podcasts don't make it to episode 20.
Okay.
And that's when I wanna get episode 20. It's like, I'm not gonna care how many subscribers I have. I'm just
Mhm.
going to the brewery and be like, I got 20 episodes. Please give me free beer."
Yeah. So what's the like, tell me a little bit more about, like, the mission about the podcast. What brought you to podcasting? Like, why?
This is my podcast. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to ask me questions. Wait, are we do we have to okay.
What's the log line?
Ouch. Hey, I'm not ready. It's right over there. I interview people
People
and we drink beer.
and we drink beer. That is my favorite, like, piece of set deck here.
Yes.
I love it.
That was by a previous guest, on, like, the one I don't want anyone to know about that I shot 7 years ago that was terribly shot and
Aw.
terrible microphones.
We all gotta start somewhere.
Yes, and I learned a
Mhm.
lot since then. However, the goal of this show is I did another podcast with some friends, and he was the host, and he's awesome, and I really wanna do more, but then I got a brain injury and hit by a car, but, His pitch was like, we have all these it's called Life in the Circus, and you should check it out. It's great. It's We would interview film friends, and they would either talk about their career or they talk
Mhm,
about their side
mhm.
hustles, because everyone's hurting right now, and
Everyone's yeah.
anything they can share on their their side hustles, Instagram or whatever, is promotional content for that. And
Mm,
this has really carried that over, where it's anybody who has a film project or a theater project or anything like that that they want to promote.
mm,
I we Because it's really easy, right? Like, this is a
yeah,
conversation, but then I can use some online services to cut them into stories and give them like a whole folder of 30-second little clips they can use for Instagram stories or TikToks or whatever, but whatever those young people are using these days.
that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah, so you'll
That's
probably get a
it's
bunch of
very
those.
reciprocal. Like, I
Yeah,
love that. It's like giving back.
and
And it's
it's
creating community,
yeah,
so we're
well,
not
and
all lonely.
yeah, no, and that's
Helping
another
each other out.
well, and that's another big one is community. I
Yeah.
really like, even with this project I'm doing with
Mhm,
my friends, it's like I don't wanna just do this one project with these people. I wanna start doing, my pitch to them is, like, talking about doing community theater when I was a kid, where you'd have these, like, groups do a play every year, and it was, like, shoestring budgets, terrible stuff, but I thought about the time did you do theater as a kid?
I did. I was in traveling youth indigenous, yeah, performing arts group. Life changing. Kept me
Yeah.
out of trouble. It was great.
Wow, okay, so we really
Mhm.
so you understand, like, the amount of time you put into those plays is probably enough time to do, like, a feature,
Yeah,
easily,
yeah.
and so that's what I'm telling my friends, it's like, "Man, like, we don't even need to do the, like, 3 nights a week and 1 day a week, in the weekend, like, we could do way less than that and make, like, 1 feature a year or, like, a 6-episode series and keep it fun
Mhm.
and not burn people out and only do it on Saturdays," and, like, the joke he pitched to my friends is like, "It's gonna be a 10-hour day, but the last hour, we're gonna have beers in our hands," so
Nice.
even the ones who don't drink.
Yeah.
Which is most of them, weirdly enough.
I feel like drinking culture is kind of I don't know, like, drinking is almost I don't wanna say this, but I don't wanna say drinking is the new smoking, I hate that, and I definitely don't wanna say it on your podcast. But I feel like now it's like, yeah, there's so many, like, non-alcoholic beer options that are good and, like, yeah, like,
I think it's changed a
it's
lot.
changed.
Well, with because of craft beer
Yeah.
too, what you get is like, I remember old drinking, like, "Oh man, I can like clean off a flat of beer," and it's like, dude,
Yeah.
that's like $100.
Expensive, it's a lot
Yeah,
of sugar.
yeah, and it's like now, and we all know like sugar also is really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's actually worse than alcohol. Like I'm drinking mostly when I'm out drinking with friends. It's like
Mhm.
tequila sodas,
Yeah.
and I don't get the hangovers I used to
Yeah.
get. But like, yeah, a lot of my friends now, it's like we have like 2 beers. We're old and lame.
Yeah, and anything more than that gives me anxiety, and I don't want anxiety. I don't want more than I already have, so
Anything more than that makes me sleepy, so
yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I like non-alcoholic beer, root beer, and then in summertime, I love yeah, like, it'd be nice to have a beer on the patio or maybe in the studio.
or homemade cranberry cider or homemade strawberry cider.
Okay, that would be new for me.
Yeah, so I've
Okay.
got 23 liters of each going.
Oh my
I
gosh.
bottled the
How
strawberry
do you have
cider.
time for all this? I'm sorry.
ADD. I do it while I'm making breakfast. I don't know,
Alright.
I just keep going and don't have
Yeah,
much of a social life, so
awesome. Good for you. Yeah. You make the most of your ADD and you're a very productive person, so that's great.
so
Yeah.
I think we should, the one last thing I wanna
Yeah.
ask you before we wrap it up,
Mhm.
you're an Audible listener,
Mhm.
recommend some books to me.
Oh my gosh. I'm embarrassed by my like, what I have.
Oh, like steamy Harlequin novels, isn't it?
No, it's all self-help. Like, I don't think I've, like, listened to a non-self-help book in, like, 3 years. I know, I'm really trying to help myself out here.
That's I do my road trips across
Yeah.
Canada, and when I'm with my friend who's a director, Brian,
Mhm.
we listen to like horror, like
Mhm.
supernatural, eldritch horror novels,
Yeah.
because he's a horror, like he loves that stuff, and I
Yeah.
love it too. But when he's gone, and I drop him off in Toronto, or
Mhm.
before I've picked him up, I try to listen to a lot of self help books.
Yeah. I listen to
Uh,
a lot,
yeah,
especially in the morning.
so I can
Everybody
recommend. I'll recommend some, and then you can recommend some. How about
Okay.
that?
Okay.
The Eight Rules of Love was really good.
Yep.
Attachment, it's like the theory of attachment, which
Okay.
is really eye-opening on how, like, now even, like, I dated a girl recently, and I now realize she's avoidant, and, like, everybody in there, "Oh,
Yeah.
avoidance evil," and it's like, "No, no,
No,
it's
they're
just
not.
no, it's just, like," because it was, like, literally we had the big talk, she's like,
Yeah.
"I just don't wanna be, like, hookup buddies,"
Uh,
and I was like, "That's cool, I don't wanna be hookup buddies either," and then
mhm.
immediately she stopped wanting to actually make plans with me, and I'm like, "Oh, she's avoidant."
Yeah.
Before I'd have been, like, destroyed or
Yeah.
upset, but now I'm like, "Eh, oh well."
Understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. The Power of Writing It Down.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
It's this woman who does these exercises with people about, like, writing things down, and it's like a
Mhm.
daily writing practice, and I haven't
Mm,
started it properly. I've been journaling, but,
yeah.
like, I'm at the point where it's like, it's just what I did yesterday. It's not
Get up and write 3 things you're grateful for.
I've got that book. I've got
Yeah.
the thing, and in
Yeah,
fact,
okay.
I was actually looking because I collect, like, I collect notebooks and then never use
Mm.
them. So I wanted
Oh.
to 3D print stamps that are, like, 3 things, and so I could just stamp them in the books and produce my own
Mm.
cheaply and easily for my own
That's
usage.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the power of writing it down, and she even mentions the gratitude thing, and that's
Mhm.
actually apparently really good for people with ADHD
Yeah.
because we tend to focus on the negative a lot,
Yes.
and I definitely lie in bed in the mornings and just, like, catastrophize.
Oh, yeah, so do I. I lie in bed, do it, like, during the day, like, wash my dishes, doing it. I catastrophize everything. But when you're actually, like, writing, like, the practice of writing and then writing the things that you're grateful for, like, you you're doing something tactile, but you also can't focus on anything negative as you're writing your gratitude list. It forces you for that period, you are present in that moment and you're grateful. Yeah, it's really helpful.
And in the power of writing it down, I think she actually talks about how writing it with, like, pen and paper or whatever is
Mhm.
very different than typing.
Yeah,
Like, it activates stuff in the brain and, like, yeah, she talks it's a great book. I'm only halfway through it, but I'm
yeah,
really enjoying it. So what about
yeah.
you? What you got some books for me that I haven't listened to already?
Okay, well, we talked about this morning as I was getting ready to come here, I was listening to, Marie Forleo, and it's called Everything is Figureoutable,
I
and
like the name.
I'm trying to figure out how to be a director, but it basically is just giving you, like, steps to figure out whatever it is that you want, like, whatever obstacles that you may be facing, whatever's on your list of, goals that you have for the year, everything is figureoutable. So it's just kind of like it's very applicable to not just artists, not just filmmakers, if you wanna figure out your finances or whatever it is, like, everything is figureoutable. So I've been listening to that, um, but yeah, like, it's beginning of the year, so I'm literally re-listening to things that I try to listen to at the beginning of every year. After that, I'm gonna re-listen to The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Um
You should check out I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
oh, I have that download. I haven't listened to it yet,
It's
though.
funny.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
lighthearted.
that's, what's his name?
I don't know.
My gosh, I know,
Yes,
it's tip of my tongue.
but he's got a
Ramit.
podcast. Yeah,
Ramit.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's got a podcast, but I love it because it's, he's just so, like, witty and, like, he's like a
Yeah.
dad and
Yeah, he's
yeah.
great. Yeah. Yeah, I got really into finance too, like personal finance. Most of my what I've been listening to is like finance, so it's like boring and not that exciting, but
Oh, no, it's, I'm
yeah.
not great at I mean, I have I discovered I always thought I was bad with money, but
Mhm.
then when I was a camera assistant and making great money, I actually am incredible with money because I don't
Yeah.
have really like, I like to brew, which
Yeah.
isn't expensive. It's a very
Yeah.
cheap hobby.
No, it's good to live beyond your or not beyond your means, below your means, because you
Yeah.
never know when there's gonna be an emergency, and if you can manage, 50 grand a year, then you can manage 500 grand. Like, it's just a matter of, like, knowing where you are and being responsible and, like, how to, like, invest and all of those different things, and it's like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, finance bros who try to make it sound like it's really complicated when really it's not. It's
Buy
just
crypto, nonstop crypto all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That I'm not recommending that. It's a joke.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a
Give me
little
some
bit
more
about it.
books. Come
Oh
on.
my
Come
gosh,
on.
okay,
You only
okay,
gave me,
okay,
like, 2.
okay, I mentioned The Artist Way more than once,
Artist Way
Artist Way all the way. Okay, I read this other one, but I could not get into it. It's called, like, The 48 Laws of Power.
by Robert Greene
That was so dense, like, I would
and dark.
and dark.
Yes,
It's actually banned in prisons.
yeah, no, it sucks because it's, like, super manipulative stuff.
Yeah.
The
It's
sad
basically how to manipulate people.
Yeah, the problem
Yeah,
is it's not wrong. Like, a lot
yeah,
of the stuff I was listening, I'm like, "Yep, yep, those are" like, as a kinda
yeah,
clueless, socially awkward dude, it's like,
yeah,
"Oh, I did that and pissed somebody off. Oh, that's why I got fired. Oh, that's that." And it's
yeah.
like, you never outshine your boss and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
things
so
like that. So I tried to get into it multiple times, but I just couldn't.
mhm.
And then it eventually was like, what? Then I just started putting it on so I'd fall asleep. Yeah. I listened to Financial Feminist twice, by Tori Dunlap. I feel like she's like, I don't know, like famous on TikTok. Um, yeah, I was just like, I've just been trying to like build myself a really solid foundation and different aspects of my life so that I'd feel, like, very capable to, like, actually have a little production company and, like, get a series going. So, like, everything I felt like I needed to improve on to be able to, like, have that foundation for myself so I can become a director and, more of an established producer is yeah, I've been just, like, soaking it in like a sponge. Yeah,
I do have some advice.
it's that.
Don't think about it too much, just do it.
Don't overthink
Well,
it.
it's 'cause
Yeah.
it's like the more yeah, I went to Japan to teach English for a year.
Mhm.
I made the decision and was gone within a month, because if I thought about it any longer, I wouldn't have gone, or,
Yeah.
like, I joined the infantry reserve when
Yeah.
I was, like, 18,
Yeah.
and I'm sure if it had taken more than 2 or 3 months, I would have chickened out, and I just like, next thing you know, I'm at boot camp, and it's like, "Oh, it's not that
That's
bad."
actually really good advice.
Yeah,
Just do it. Do
yeah.
the thing. Do the damn thing. Don't overthink it. It's actually funny that I forgot to mention this, but it's a bit of a tangent. But I also signed up for an acting course this year. I start next week. But I was talking to the coach, and she was like, "Oh, like, did you Google me or did you check out my IMDb? Like, what led you to want to take my course?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. I just know someone who takes your course." And she's like, "Oh, so you don't know about my credits or anything?" And she had mentioned not in a like gloating kind of
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm so important," but like just she just said, "Oh yeah, like I've got such and such credits, like 100 something credit, something like that." And I was like, "Oh my gosh. Well, thank goodness I didn't Google you because
I wouldn't have said
I wouldn't have signed up. I
yeah.
wouldn't. I just decided I was like, when my friend told me like, "Hey, I think you should do this," I was like, "This is my sign to do it." And I just did it. But if I had I, done my due diligence, I would have catastrophized it or talked myself out of it. So sometimes just got to do the damn thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I get that.
Alright, well, thank you so much for coming on, April.
Thank
It's been great. We'll get you
you.
back on, and we'll get a puppet, and this will be the first puppet episode.
Oh my gosh, no, you're gonna meet Dot. She's my
Yeah.
daughter,
Oh, yeah,
and she's
no,
the
it's
best.
gonna be great.
Yeah,
And then maybe I can bust out one of my puppets.
let's do it.
What
It's a puppet
is it
party.
Kelly? Kelly is the puppeteer?
Kelly's a puppeteer, and you
Yeah,
gotta
maybe
meet
she can
Kelly
show
too.
me how to,
Oh my gosh, she's
'cause
amazing.
I got the rods, I got
Oh my
everything, I just
gosh.
don't know what I'm
Okay,
doing.
stay tuned.
Yes.
I can't
Between
wait for
2
this.
puppets.
Oh my yes, coming 2025, Between Two Puppets. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna need a few
Your
years anyway.
puppet? Yeah, you might. I mean,
I
they
got a
might
really great goblin one. I'll
he
show you after.
your puppet might try to, like, take over as host.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, cool.
Okay.
I didn't do this podcast because I wanna be in front of the camera. I just kind of I'm here
Yeah.
and it's easy, and yeah, so
Cool. Okay, well, I cannot wait. We're gonna make this happen. See, we're already collaborating.
yes.
Love it.
Alright,
Okay.
cheers.
Cheers.